licensed psychologist, and here we talk about psychology and true crime. I was asked to cover Lori Vallow-Daybell's post-conviction interview. So she went back on True Crime Arizona. They did her second interview because she had the one interview, the first one where you kind of saw the true Lori, and then she had a different interview on this channel, and then she did a post-conviction interview. I have a link to the full interview down in the description. I don't want to run into any copyright claims issues, so I won't be playing the interview. And if you all have questions, if you all could put two or three question marks before your question, that just helps me see it. Because Kelly D, I have your question starred. All right. So we watched the verdict together. We had a live verdict watch. If you enjoy talking about random TV shows, we had I had way too much fun with y'all on that verdict watch stream because we had some time to waste while we were waiting. The jury found her guilty of conspiracy to commit capital M in the death of her husband, Charles Vallow. She is awaiting her next trial is going to be attempted capital M of her nephew in law. I think it's her nephew in law, Brandon Boudreaux. That was Melanie's husband, ex husband. And I think Lori has learned nothing from this experience. I so and I had a lot of thoughts about watching the interview because Lori desperately wants this attention. Like she desperately wants to be center stage. She wants to stay at the front of all of our minds. And but I do think there are some things that we can talk about and learn from it. And so that's why I wanted to cover it. All right. Um Let me go on ahead and get to this question. If someone like Lori goes off the deep end mentally, what do they do? Like, what I guess maybe what does the prison system do if they're in prison? Do they move you to a psychiatric hospital or do they attempt to medicate her or ignore her? So I think Lori, I'm not aware of her getting into any trouble in prison. She was in a psychiatric hospital when she was in Idaho when she was found incompetent to stand trial, but then her competency was restored because she was probably saying, I'm this divine being. I had a near death experience. I am like, I think she thinks of herself almost as a deity. And I don't think she thinks the courts should have any say over her. And to me, she really had a lot of a lot of her talk in the interview focused on her conspiracy theory. So she definitely thinks the state and the investigation was against her. She denied. Okay, I have to go ahead and say this now, and I'll probably repeat it when I get to this section in my notes. She denied having an affair with Chad before Charles died. And she tried to act all surprised when she found out that Charles was communicating with other women on dating apps and maybe going on a few dates. She said that she didn't find that out until the discovery portion. And she seemed hurt by it. And so we talk a lot about narcissism when we talk about Lori. And one of the when when a narcissist is cheated on, they take it very personally. Of course, because everything is taken personally, but especially an affair. And I wonder if that was why she referred to him as my husband, because I think she still viewed him as a object, as her possession, that no that he didn't have the right to talk to anyone else while she's over here having a whole affair. A whole affair. And so, I don't think she's ever going to tell the truth. I think she's committed to her truth, and her truth has cost her her relationship with Colby. If she could admit what she did, then I think she would have, like, I think she might be a safer person. She can't admit that she did anything wrong. She denies everything, and it was just, it was a lot. Let me pull up my notes from the interview. Oy. All right, treasure hog, and let me just so y'all ask me y'all's questions. Does she really believe her own lies? I mean, is this her reality? So with Lori, she also has this performance aspect to her where I think she wants the world to think a certain narrative. And I think that's why she was doing media interviews. And I think that's why she's representing herself. Because during the interviewer asked her about the green chili enchiladas. She was like, "Why?" Like, she just asked her the question, like something that kind of none of us had on our bingo card was the green chili enchiladas. And Lori has the nerve to say that she was making a joke. Like she was just trying, like me and my family, we joke all the time, and I was just making a joke. And I was like, like, making ma'am, your trial where you're defending yourself, now is not the time to make little jokes with because to me, it didn't come off like a joke. It came off like and I wonder if she was just deflecting the question because she seemed hurt that he did not remember. Like, come on, you're telling me you don't remember my green chili chicken enchiladas, which I've heard are absolutely nasty. And the jury noticed. So I'm going to try to talk about the interview first, and then I'm going to get to the jury questions. I'm going to try. I'm going to try to have a little bit of structure here, okay? And Christina, I agree. I think she took it like an insult, okay? So I don't think Lori will ever admit that she did anything wrong. She's sticking with her family tragedy, that this was a family tragedy. And I don't think that she'll ever admit that her and Alex and probably Chad, but we don't know, so Chad was not convicted, but that her and Alex likely plotted and orchestrated this whole event, made sure that Tylee wasn't gonna be in like she was in the car, but that JJ was gonna be out. And then they intentionally, I think, took JJ to school because the question about why didn't you call 911, and she deflected responsibility to Alex. She was like, I thought Alex would would take care of it. For anybody that's new to this case, Alex is her brother, and her brother is the one that um because there are certain words on YouTube I can't say, especially in the first 10 minutes. Her brother is the one that pew-pewed her husband twice. And, if it had just been one shot, he might have gotten away with it. I think the jury really struggled with, like, that second. Like, it just seemed like an execution type thing. The thought that came to me yesterday that if Colby was still a child, he could have been a victim as well. Yeah. I don't think she wanted any dependent children. Um, I don't think she did. She said it wasn't her responsibility to persuade the jury. What are your thoughts on that statement? So I don't think she understands what a lawyer is supposed to do. I don't think she really understands the law, and she really didn't have anything to lose. And I think it was a family tragedy for Tylee and JJ, but for her, it was conspiracy to commit capital M. That's what she's been convicted of. She has been convicted of that crime, and she wants to be viewed as the victim. And that's what she desperately tries to switch the narrative and change the narrative to have her at the center, that she was this good mom that was just concerned about the welfare of her children. And it sickens me how then when it comes to responsibility, she deflects to everybody else. It's not that she got the bat, it's that Tylee got the bat. And I really don't know that any of that is true. I don't think we'll ever know what truly happened in this situation. So she starts with attempting to explain the way the judicial system works. And if you watch the interview, you will probably laugh a little because she, it's almost like she's saying it's the judicial system's job to convict people, and that most people that are charged, they're normally convicted. And that would be like saying most of the people that go to the ER receive treatment. It's like, okay, but like, because she's trying to make this analogy, but if the state brings charges, then they likely think that they have a good case. And so the state probably does have a pretty high conviction rate. But because if she gets amnesia to the fact that they did not charge her until they had a strong case against her. That's when she was charged. She wasn't charged back when the incident occurred. She was charged once the state had this whole case in this bigger picture to present against her. She blames the state and the system, and she didn't like the fact that she didn't get the last word because she was specifically asked why didn't she present any defense. So Lori presented zero defense, none, not a witness, nothing. She presented no evidence, and she said that she didn't like the fact that the state, because whatever evidence she presented, the state would go again. And so she didn't like that the state has the last word. But the state has the burden to convict her. And so like it's just it listening to it, it was a little painful. She starts bringing up so randomly. If you watch the interview, all of a sudden she brings up couples retreat and art of war, and I think something else. I was trying to take notes as I was listening to it. I think on 1.5 speed, maybe on 2. I had it cuz I can't listen to her at regular speed. I just can't do it. So I was taking notes, but for some reason she just brought up like and where she brought up the movie reference in Art of War, I didn't see how that flowed with the conversation, but that's how I think her mind, as she's just talking, I think sometimes random things pop up. And, I can't because, random thoughts pop into my head too, but, like, it was just it was so I didn't get through it in one setting. I think it took 2 or 3 settings, 2 or 3 times. Like, I started it and I got through, like, 7 minutes, and then I tried again, and so it was probably two sittings that I got through the entire interview. Um, it was it was painful. Um, the, the interviewer asked her like about Tylee. If she thought the jury was wondering where Tylee was, and Lori specifically said that they were not able to mention that Tylee was deceased. That was one of their pre-trial rulings, that they were not able to introduce the fact that Tylee was deceased. And then she just starts talking about how she knows where Tylee is, and she starts talking about Tylee in heaven, and that part makes my stomach, like, that makes me feel sick because we all know what she did to Tylee, what she allowed to happen, what she orchestrated, and all of that for her own daughter. And she talked about that there was this domino effect the day of this incident, and she blamed Tylee for pushing Charles's buttons. And I still think that Lori probably liked it when Tylee and Charles didn't get along. And so Charles was her stepfather, and from everything I've seen, he sounds like he was a pretty decent guy. Like, and but I think Lori was probably very permissive and probably let Tylee just kind of do whatever, and I could see maybe Charles was setting a boundary or something, I don't know, like, and because I could see Lori being upset if Charles was trying to have a positive relationship with Tylee, because I think she often has, um if she either views people as on her side or against her. And I think once she connected with Chad, I think, and I don't know if she was already distancing herself from Charles at that point, but definitely when she met Chad, and I think she had this vision of them saving the world together, because that's literally like that's what they thought they were doing. It's very it's a cult-like mentality. It's spiritual abuse, very, very harmful. And it's a lot. And so I did watch the juror interviews. And so let me know if y'all have questions. So once we get through this section, I'll be taking questions on the juror interviews. I don't plan to play it tonight, but we will just do this where we're talking about things tonight. All right. Let me go back to my notes. Oy. It was very, very painful. She brought up the whole family tragedies again, and then she tries to again make herself the victim, that every time she tried to say something and there was an objection, that she felt, "Okay, I guess you can't say that." And there were times that she didn't exactly understand why, like, what was said wrong. But I do think that when she snuck in, I think it was during close it was at one point, she snuck in and, like, the state objected and she kept talking, because I think the state would have objected to the second part of her statement too, but she got in, I think, what she wanted to say. And during the interview, she talked about representing herself, because there were certain things a lawyer wouldn't say, or there's a certain perspective that a lawyer wouldn't take. And she had a very specific view of this and what she wanted to focus on, and all of that. All right. She brought up Colby's interview that he released with her, and she almost seemed proud of it. Yeah, if you've seen the interview, tell me how you felt when she brought up Colby's interview, that phone interview that he released between the two of them. Because as the interviewer was kind of asking her questions about Tylee, Lori was like, "I covered that in my interview in with Colby, and I really can't say more about that right now." Um all right. So Mindy, this is a question. Is the next trial Oh, so this is Lori's interview. So we are talking about Lori did an interview after her conviction. They will be having pretrial motions. They'll be having the jury selection, all of that, for her charges with against her attempted to commit murder for Brandon Boudreaux. All right, all right. Like she just every if her like ugh. And there's a fine line between a delusion and a willful manipulation of the truth. And I do think that there is a part of this that is a willful manipulation of the truth. Correct? Y'all, if you saw the interview, the the interview felt like Darvo, that's deny, attack, reverse victim and offender, and it also felt like gaslighting. Like she's trying to be like, "I'm the normal one. Y'all are the ones that just don't get me." And we're like, "No, like what you're doing and saying, this is not normal. This is not okay." Thank you for being a member for 7 months, Kathy. I appreciate it. All right. She is. And so it feels willful to me that she is because there are people that are delusional and they have no idea, like they fully believe their delusion, and there could be a delusional aspect to her, because maybe the whole that spiritual delusion that she had a near death experience, and that she is one of those beings. But the way that she tried to change the meaning of Nephi, when a lot of people that are Mormon, a lot of people that know the stories about Nephi, a lot of people talk about, like, yeah, most people when they talk about Nephi, you're talking about a justified killing. Like that you wouldn't how she tried to twist it, that no, that but she was trying to do it to fit her narrative, because she wanted to be found not guilty. So she doesn't like, of course, like, nobody wants to be found guilty. I did think it was interesting. We didn't go into it as much during the live stream, during the last live stream, where, she did not let them, so the jury could have decided if if there was a weapon used, and like there were certain criteria for the crime, that there could have been additional testimony that the jury could hear, and then the jury would decide those additional things. Lori, I think she didn't want Kay and the rest of the family to get up and get to speak again, because they will get to speak at sentencing. I think there was a little confusion around Lori stopping that, that part of the hearing after she was convicted. There was a portion that was going to say if she, there was additional aspects of the crime that I think impact sentencing, and, and she said, "Nope, I stipulate to it. I'm not I agree that, yes, it is that," and she didn't allow that other testimony to come in. So all the people that want to speak, as victims of this crime, they will have that during her sentencing. I think they may push her sentencing, like, it may be sentencing for both of her trials, um, because the judge asked, and I think she was gonna talk with her counsel to decide if she wanted to delay sentencing for this first conviction. But yeah, so Kay's testimony, and even the jury said that, that Kay's testimony was absolutely amazing. And a lot of analysis that I've seen has talked about that Lori seemed scared about kind of what Kay might say, or just kind of Kay's testimony. Um, and so Lori truly does. I think she believes that her and Chad are Jesus's favorite. I do think that is what she believes. That then entitles her to do and say whatever she wants, which is not biblical. Like, that's not a part of any religion where you say, because I'm chosen by God, I get to break the laws and not have consequences. It's like, no, because she denies that she's broken any laws. Like, we can't even get that part together. But um so she talked about that she was in this lawyer mode. So she was trying to say that she was being professional, and I watched her cross-examination. She did not come across professional to me, or maybe the parts where she thought she was being professional was when she was just having them restate the testimony that they had already said. So, "What time did you get there? And then what did you do when you arrived? Were you listening when when the state question?" Because Lori would have them go over some of the same questions. "Who is your supervisor?" As though we're somehow going to get the supervisor to come in, but I don't know. It was it was a lot. She was upset that a few of her witnesses were not allowed to come in. So, and I don't know how true what she says is. I do not. Where did you park? So, and then so Owens from, Sarah Boone's trial, I remember he asked everybody how far they traveled. Like, that was one of my favorite parts. He just wanted to know, "So where'd you come from?" Like, he's all about the state of Florida, and how far did you travel? Uh, oh my gosh. Let me pull my notes back up. All right. And so those green chili chicken enchiladas, and so she thought it was funny, and she thought about doing a funny movie quote with him, with Adam, with her brother Adam. And she seemed to not admit that Adam has cut off communication with her. She doesn't seem to admit that, or to, I think she, 'cause once again, I think she's, concerned with appearances. And even we all heard Adam's testimony. Adam was very concerned about her, and, that she was going down the wrong path, and was concerned about her. but she seemed to talk about him as though they were still friends. But I think that serves her narrative, and because she was the one that brought up that they haven't talked in a really, really long time. So he's not in active communication with her. It's just it was a lot. All right. Um, let's see. She minimized everything. So everything that she does, anything that she could be responsible for, and from what I saw, she appeared to minimize it. And and she denied that she's estranged from Adam, which we all know that she is. The whole Charles dating that she didn't know. That part I wasn't aware that she didn't know that Charles was on dating apps and that he was communicating with other women. Yay for you, Charles. Like I they were to me, they were separated. They were living in different states. He was planning on buying a different house. I think their marriage was over. He was aware that she was having an affair with a married man, and I don't think he wanted anything to do with Lori. I think he was there for JJ. If it wasn't for JJ, I think he would have cut ties with Lori possibly sooner. Like I think he was trying to make things okay for JJ. Uh like so like him and Nancy Joe. Like I'm so glad like Charles, so I'm a little morbid and I apologize, but like Charles, Nancy Joe seems so sweet. And I don't know if they ever would have worked out, but, like, it seemed like they had a really good date, and he probably was going to meet up with her for lunch that day, the day he died, and I felt really bad for Nancy Joe. All these years, she's thinking she was ghosted until the children are found or go or like news like she finds out on the news that the day after her date that her date passed. Like Nancy Joe and Nancy Joe, she seemed to gray rock uh uh Lori, and what I mean by gray rock is not react. So when Lori, to me, there were times that Lori was starting to get emotional and was trying to get an emotional reaction out of witnesses. And the witnesses did a really good job being like, that it wasn't all about you. Like we weren't talking about you. You were not the center of our date. And because Lori's question made it sound like, how did you have all this time to just talk about me and my life for your entire date? And Nancy Joe was like, ma'am, no, that is not what we did. You think way too highly of yourself. She brought up the Nephi text, and so I'm gonna go back to the dating. So she tried to describe Chad as her best friend. That while Charles was alive, Lori had the nerve. Like I think it was I think because there were YouTubers that read that that letter. So Chad wrote this love letter, and I don't like Chad's writing. Chad wrote this love letter to Lori, and it's explicit. Like their messages are like I think they're sexting and stuff. And and she's trying to be like he was just a friend. We didn't start dating until after, like I didn't cheat. Like why are you saying that? Why are you stuck on this? But once again, I think it's about her image that she desperately wants to control the narrative. And that's why she put her interview out. I think that's why she agreed to do it. She wants to be able to let the world know her side. I'm glad that many of us see right through it. The James and Elena story. Exactly. And so Mm. The other conviction, 'cause she was convicted in the death of Tammy too. So Lori's already serving 3 life sentences in Idaho, and once she has convictions and a sentence in Arizona, they will decide, because 'cause I'm guessing that she would just stay in the Idaho prison system, But if she had appeals, if she had court dates in Arizona, she would have to come back to Arizona for any of those things. Oh my gosh. Because I think it was Kurt. I feel like it was either Kurt or it was Recovery Addict that would read, I feel like it was Kurt that would read the James and Elena story that would read some of Chad's writing during pauses in the trial. I'm almost positive it was one of those 2. All right. I feel like it was Kurt, but I could be wrong. All right. She tried to make herself to be this busy mom, and the day of this incident that it was Alex's responsibility to call 911, and they waited 47 minutes to call. Just ridiculous. Um, and she was asked, "Do you regret representing herself?" And I don't think she would ever admit that she made a mistake, that there's something she could do different, that there's something that she could do better. I have Ben's question highlighted, Jamin and Kelly D. I have those questions highlighted. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to those once I finish going through. I just have like 2 more things on the notes. But she denied regretting representing herself. I think she liked the fact that she was able to cross-examine, witnesses, that she was able to ask the questions that she wanted to ask, and, she did say that it was harder than she thought, and she talked about being really tired, but I don't think she has any regrets with representing herself. And, she made the statement, "This has 0 effect on me in eternity." And that's where she's sticking with some of her religious cult-like things that, this earthly realm can't punish me, that I've already sealed my fate in eternity. Like, that's her little belief and all of that. Alright, B Michigan, I also have your question starred. So let me go back to this one. My question is more for those who are impacted most by her heinous crimes, considering that Lori is in no way remorseful. Agreed. Even though they'll be able to give statements, is this enough? Zero ownership. So that's where my healing is not tied to the person that offended me taking responsibility. And so that's something that I work with my clients on. Lori is never going to admit that she was wrong. And where people like Colby, her son, so for the rest of his life, his like that is her son, and Colby is gonna have to cope with not having a relationship with his mother. Colby did a reaction to the interview as well. I haven't watched it. Hidden True Crime also did a reaction to the interview too. And, but I think what everybody is saying is their lives are gonna go on. I think they are glad there was justice for Charles. So often, and that she will have to sit there and listen to their statement as they're giving their statement about how her actions impacted them. She will probably give her own statement. So I will likely cover whenever she goes to sentencing, because I covered her statement in her Idaho trial, and her statement was it was it was what you would expect from Lori. But I think the victims, they get their chance to say things, and once again, I don't think their healing should be tied to if she ever accepts responsibility, because she never will. Now, it often makes it easier when a person does. So if she would admit, "Yes, I made a mistake. I got caught up in the affair. I got caught up in what I wanted. I Everybody else lost their humanity," and, like, if she could admit that, it would probably aid those people's healing. I do think they can still heal even without it. Alright? Sorry, I meant to wish Brianna, I'm not sure, would have pointed out, we wish Brianna would have pointed out that Lori admitted to starting the affair before. So I think the interviewer knew that the less you push back on what Lori says, because if the interviewer were to push back on some of the facts with Lori, I think it could have she could have ended the interview. I don't know, like things could have went poorly. And so I don't think the point of it was to get the truth. I think it was just to ask Lori a few hard questions. I don't think Lori answered any of them truthfully. My own personal thoughts, because I think she had this narrative that she wanted to get out. Okay. Who do you think she kept looking at? So I wonder if it was her lawyer. I'm not sure. So you noticed that Kelly D. So I missed that. There also could have been like a male in the room because I feel like she similar to Sarah Boone, like, I don't know, like, I feel like she would try to get attention from other people in the room, and, I'm not sure the angle of the camera, because sometimes when you're doing an interview, like, the camera might be here, but the person interviewing you might be here, and so, she could have been looking directly at the interviewer. I don't know, not sure. I don't understand the attraction men had to Lori. So I think Lori has a confidence that many people would likely find attractive, but her confidence is rooted in narcissism. Like it's not like a healthy confidence. She doesn't have a healthy ego. She's probably really jealous easily. She probably escalates quickly in relationships. It's probably not a healthy relationship. And she likely forms relationships quick and fast, where it's more of this trauma bond than like a healthy relationship where she very quickly is saying, I love you, and that relationships it's passionate, it starts really strong, and then you start to see some of the real aspects of her down the road. Those are just my general thoughts, not sure. All right. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any other questions. And once we get through these questions, we will move to the juror interviews. Okay. I think I think I got all the current questions. Let me know if y'all have questions about the juror interviews. So the first juror interviews I saw, I think it was on because there were a bunch of stations that caught the jury as they were leaving. To me, it didn't seem like they fully consented to be interviewed, like, but I think there and that consent could have happened off camera, but, there were probably reporters with cameras running up to the jurors as they're leaving. There's been one person that's done multiple interviews, because I think I saw them on maybe Court TV, like, I've seen one individual do multiple, interviews, but because one of the male jurors, he was kind of older, gray hair. He didn't give his last name when they asked him his name. There was a female that was interviewed with him as well, and she gave her full name, and they both said that Lori's demeanor, that she seemed like she was joking and like she wasn't really taking it seriously, that she would smile at them at odd times, and they kind of were put off by that. And the male juror, he talked about how really he was leaning towards not guilty until closing arguments, which okay, it is what it is. Um, that really, when the state put everything together in closing arguments, the only thing he could come to was not guilty. Uh, yeah. So, like those jurors paused for a moment and and there, because I do think there was one juror that, like, declined, because I think one juror, I think, maybe went in a different direction. So I think if you walked in the direction of the reporters that, but it felt a little odd. And then I haven't seen this one yet, that Hidden True Crime interviewed Carl, the juror in the blue shirt. I haven't seen that one. um, I did see, uh, that one of the jurors made a statement, that might cause just there were some questions about when the juror learned about that the children were deceased. Um, and there was kind of a question about that. I will leave that there. I think there were a few other attorneys that broke down that juror question. Can she receive mental health help in prison? So Lori does not think she has a mental health problem. So that's the thing with narcissism. Mm. So like Lori doesn't think she has a problem and she thinks she's on a mission in prison. And like, so I don't think she would say that she's sad or that she's like, because she's on no medication. But if she did want therapy in prison, she could receive it. Any good therapist would try to get her to come to terms with the things that she's been charged with, because she denies all of her crimes. So I don't think she would want to see a prison therapist. Um, a good therapist would also try to help her build a healthy ego and to use less manipulative, coercive type strategies in her relationships with others. Um, and I don't think that she wants to change. Those are just my personal thoughts. Based on everything I've seen and heard, it doesn't sound like she sees a problem with any of this. And so her personality structure, it protects her from feeling guilt. So what I mean by that is nothing is ever her fault. So if we catch Lori on TV doing something like, or if we catch her on video doing something, she would deny that, like even when you show her evidence, you did this. Like this, I think she would deflect and deny and excuse and minimize her behavior. And so in therapy, we have something we call stages of change. This work came out of substance treatment, but she is in pre-contemplation. So pre-contemplation is I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. Uh, that is pre-contemplation. Uh, Contemplation is I have a problem, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to change it. After that, we have some action and we have maintenance. And so, in my personal opinion, Lori, I don't think she thinks she has a problem. All right. I saw a question. Do you think she is sad secretly? So I think she's sad about like not being able to go to the hairdresser and not being able to be with Chad and for the 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 things that have happened to her. But her emotions are shallow. And what I mean by that is she wants to come off as happy and that's where 'cause the post-conviction interview, she seemed giddy and, like, happy and really talkative, and but that's it reminds me of the detective's description of her in the back seat of the van, as she's just talking, and that's how the interview came across. Um, Behind closed doors when she's all by herself, there could be some sadness, but it's because of the consequences of her actions. So, individuals with even antisocial type traits, sometimes their emotional expression can be a bit off. They can feel sad or depressed when they get caught. But the whole feeling sad after they do something wrong, for individuals with antisocial or psychopathic type traits, there's typically, in general, there's not that emotion of feeling sad after doing a crime, which is a problem. All right. I wish that that they had asked her about, so what was up with nonchalant? Like I don't like I wish, but yeah, that was a touchy thing for her. Um uh nonchalant. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And I don't know that she should. So Heather Rose said, "Lori finds joy in every situation," and I don't think she should. I really, really don't think she should. And I think she's a risk to others. That's my own personal thought because if she thought God was giving her permission to orchestrate somebody else's death, I think she would do it. There would likely be some financial gain for her because there seemed to be gain for her with deaths of people, but, it's very problematic. Ay. Going back to the juror interviews, there was, another juror that was interviewed, and they've done a few different interviews, and they also just highlighted, um the text messages. So the Nephi text messages and um that was something that was concerning to them. The jury did watch her full interview and they got nothing from it. So remember Lori asked them, "Go back and watch my full interview." And they did, and they didn't find anything in there that led them to a not guilty for her. And, because one even commented, I forgot that she took her shoes off, and she was like, was she sitting crisscross applesauce? Like she was extremely comfortable, shoes off, just chatting with the detectives. Now, I think she was trying to put on, like, "I'm innocent." Do you know what I mean? So sometimes a guilty person, you might assume that they might look anxious, that they might be fidgety, or that they might look nervous, or that they might want to get out of there as soon as possible. And I think she was trying to put on, like, I'm cooperative. Because remember, she had talked to the police over and over before, because Charles had called the police and told them, she's trying to kill me. And they interviewed her, and she was like, oh no, like, this is just a problem, and she was able to talk her way out of things in the past. And I think a part of that was, I think they just thought that this was just an odd marital dispute and didn't really dig deeper into everything else. It really was sad, even during the trial, her trying to demonize Charles. Um, that was really, really sad to me. And I do hope that during the sentencing phase that we'll get to hear from people that loved and cared about Charles. Um, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Super duper sad. Thank y'all for being here. Let me know if y'all have any last questions. I'm going to answer a few more questions and then we will say goodnight. Let me know if there are any trials that you all are covering. I am keeping an eye on the Menendez brothers resentencing. I did see, because I did cover, it was the Slender Man, um, the last because I think the judge wasn't happy with what's the word? With the pre-release, so for Morgan Geyser Geyser, I might be saying that wrong. The judge was disappointed with her conditional release package, and so, I am gonna take a look at that, and if there's anything I have to share or add, I will definitely come back and talk about it. I truly appreciate you all. Thank you all for being here. Thank you again to the people that recommended this. And so has Kohlberger started? Because I think they're still doing pre-trial stuff. Because I don't think has the actual trial started? Let's see, Kohlberger trial. And I know Karen Reed is happening, and, I'm watching that over on Emily D. Baker's stream, also The Lawyer You Know, and Kurt give updates on it too. I that one takes too long to go forward. Let me see, Larry Millette. I will have to look that one up. Black magic practitioners. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. Larry. Okay. Let's see. News. Hmm. Maybe let me see. Maybe just one T and a E. All right. So it looks okay. So I will take a look to see if there's anything that comes up for that one. Yes. Thank you all for being here. Okay. How much credence do you as a therapist give to body language, demeanor with a patient? Do words jive with their body language? So when I'm doing therapy with a client, I'm more looking at their affect, like how their emotions match what they're talking about. Because there's some people as where they're holding back emotion. There are some people that get flooded with emotions. I don't mind if somebody like crosses their legs or crosses their arms. I was trained a little in body language. There are forensic psychologists that really look at body language. I look more at, are they fidgety? Do they have very active, body language? I test for and diagnose ADHD and other, mental health diagnoses, and so, yes. Have you heard about the case where the mother um Lisa, I so that sadly, I've heard of a few different cases like that. I'm not sure if I know of the one that you're talking about. Oh, it's a case in San Diego, starts in January 2026. Remind me. Please, witness, remind me. And I see when you tag me in videos, because I saw that you tagged me in one of your videos. And so if you ever cover something, so feel free to tag me. Okay. um, uh, so that I can see it and I can remember because I will definitely forget. Thank you all for being here. I will see y'all on Saturday around 1:30 p.m. And I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Good night.